Joe, I don't even know where to go with this one anymore. It just feels like, although you often use the quote that deadlines make deals, and we do have a bit of a landmark finally in these negotiations that this team will be reporting to Port St. Lucie before you know it. And Pete Alonso will have to make a decision. Do I want to ride this thing out and stay home and see if the deal comes that, I've been waiting on? Or do I want this all to be behind me because I love the game and I'm okay with what's out there and I just got to get into a camp, especially the camp I know where a lot of Mets are back to business trying to get over the hump of the NLCS last year. So, Joe, I think this is another landmark. I'm kind of fascinated to see if the Alonso side finally blinks because my gut feel is nobody wants to be home when teams are reporting, man.
Connor, as we established, Friday is when it's happening. So we don't have to wait all that much longer, right? You'll be flying home and it'll just be a whole situation. But I'll say this, Scott Boras has never had any fear in taking these contract negotiations into spring training. So while that reporting deadline and, players getting into camp and getting ready for the season is coming very fast. I mean, pitchers and catchers is less than a week away, and position players report shortly thereafter. But Scott Boras is not afraid to carry this into February. So I have no idea if we're going to wake up tomorrow and Pete Alonso will have signed a deal with the Mets or somebody else, or if we're going to be talking about this at our live show on February 22nd. I sure hope this is something I could come to a conclusion soon, because as we've said on this show a couple times now, it feels like they have the basic idea of a contract. Let's just get the structure together and let's make everybody happy here. I think Pete Alonso wants to be back with the Mets. I think the Mets want Pete Alonso back, as we mentioned, on their terms largely. But let's give a little bit on the Mets side. Let's give a little bit on Pete and Boris's side, and let's wrap this thing up and close out what could go down as one of the best Mets off seasons of our lives as a fan.
Yeah, it's something that we haven't discussed because there's been this huge, to be continued on it with Pete being out there. But the reality is, if Pete's back in whatever capacity that is, a 3-year deal with an opt out, a 2-year deal with no opt outs, whatever it may be, the reality is you're right, Joe. I mean, you get Juan Soto, you bring back Sean Manaea, if you bring back Pete Alonso, you add Minter to the bullpen. Like, you've made a lot of significant moves. Even the quieter tier 3 and 4 moves, trading for Jose Siri to be a platoon in center field, of course. It would be an exclamation point on the entire thing. Just think the expectation turns to, even with the Dodgers, everybody's least favorite franchise in sports right now, even with the Dodgers out there, you go into a season with expectations to try to win a championship. And I think that's pretty rare as a fan, honestly. I understand there's certain fan bases that's all they're used to, but that you could kind of count those on one hand in the 4 major sports. For a lot of the common fan out there to sit there and go, we're going into the year and we think this team should win the World Series or can win the World Series or is top 5 and most likely to make it or win the World Series. Like, that's a special feeling as a fan. And I think if you kind of close the door and get this one done with Pete, that I don't think there would be it would be hard for fans to find that thing they constantly point to, you know what I mean, on Twitter, like, Stearns needs to get this or needs to get that. And fans always find a way to do that. But
Yeah.
it feels like, Joe, those would start to really, really dwindle if Pete's back.